Hello, everyone, and welcome to Workshop 5. I wish everybody had a great holidays time off and Happy New Year to all of you again. Hope you all had the opportunity to spend some quality time with family, some good food, and some relaxation. And we're all back to work today, day one. And welcome to 2021 and welcome to Workshop 5. I would like to start before we dive into the materials of Workshop 5 and what to expect to be working on this week together. I'd like to take a few minutes and look at the devotion for Workshop 5. I'm going to share my screen and share with you the devotion here. So Workshop 5 devotions is from Book of Numbers, verses 13. Chapter 13, verses 1 and 2, 25, 26, and 30 to 32. And the scripture reads, "The Lord said to Moses, send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. For each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders. At the end of 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelites community at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed them the fruits of the land. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, 'Who should go out and take possessions of the land? For we can certainly do it.' But the men who had gone out with him said, 'We cannot attack those people. They are stronger than we are.' And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored." So what do we learn from that biblical wisdom there? 12 tribes. Moses said, send a leader from each tribe. So 12 leaders went up. 10 of them said, we can do it, but 2 said, we can. The difference here is they are all leaders, leader from each tribe. 10 leaders looked at their own capabilities and said, we cannot do it, they are stronger than us. 2 leaders, Caleb and Joshua, didn't look at their own capabilities, looked at God's promises and what God can help them with. And they said, we can definitely conquer the land and we can take it over. We are also leaders. We are healthcare administrators, healthcare leaders. And a lot of time we do the same mistake. We try to look at our own capabilities rather than seeking God's guidance and wisdom and help, and repeating that verse after our teacher Paul, I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. With good planning, with good resources, you probably can do some of the work that initially seems to be too much and you cannot do it. Whether it's a task, a project, initiative, goal, whatever the case might be. And that's what we need to do. We need to stop looking at our own capabilities, and we need to remember God's promises that with Him we can do everything. Without Him, we cannot do anything. So I can do everything with Christ who strengthens me, and we can do everything with God together. That's our biblical wisdom for today. Workshop 5, before we get there, it's been a long journey. We've learned a lot so far. You all have been doing great work in your discussions and submissions, assignments. In Workshop 1, we talked about connecting strategic dots, the external environment, the knowledge-enabled organization, and baking in the information in our daily work processes. In Workshop 2, we covered the government policy and healthcare reform, as well as applications, electronic health records. In Workshop 3, we talked about the leadership and role of the healthcare CIO. We learned about the HIT governance and decisions rights. as well as the system selection process and contract management. In workshop 4, right before the holidays, we covered the HIT architecture and infrastructure and the HIT service management. And we all learned that ITIL is one of the frameworks that work best for healthcare organizations. This week, starting tomorrow, beginning of workshop 5, we are going to learn more about apps management, admins and financials, so HR, financial systems and more apps, as well as the HIT project portfolio management and project office. We're going to learn a lot that will hopefully benefit us in our day-to-day work in our organizations. And before I move on to workshop 6, I want to commend all of you for doing a great job in workshop 4 quiz. You all did great in the quiz. Thank you for doing a great job and reading the materials and doing a good job taking the quiz and scoring very good scores out there. Next week, the final week will be the HIT value analysis, step number 11 of the 11 steps, which we mentioned some people skip it and we should not, because again, we spend a lot of money on these technology initiatives and we want to make sure that we do realize the value of these systems and implementations that we're doing. In the system selection project that you started in workshop 1 with putting the team together, deciding what you're going to work on. And in workshop 3, you worked on all the steps. And in workshop 6, you're going to put that project together and you're going to present it in a PowerPoint presentations. I am going to remind you now, please make sure that you read all the assignments requirement and read the rubric for that assignment clearly to know how you're going to get all the points, because there's a lot of points in there, 240 points. That's a lot. And don't forget the voice narration at the end of the slides. Some people do it for the instruction at the end of the slide, just one slide at the end. And some people like to do it in every slide throughout the whole presentation. I am fine either way, whatever works best for you. So that's very much where we're at and the beginning of workshop 6. As we start workshop 5 together this week, starting tomorrow, we are going to cover some materials, including application management, administrative and financial systems. And in that chapter, we're working to get better understanding of the component that's typically included in the enterprise resource planning system, ERP. ERP is a new concept, relatively new in the last few years, and a lot of organizations are implementing an ERP system to help be more efficient in these areas. We're going to work on understanding the transaction processing applications and how they support the financial management, understanding the features of an automated enterprise scheduling system that also help us to be more efficient. We're going to get a good understanding in distinguishing between clinical decision support system and executive information system dashboard. Also understanding the use of computer applications as tools to research and medical education. All these learning milestones will be included in chapter 10. In the past, information systems, and I mentioned that in the very first week, I believe, information systems were pretty much limited to financial applications. I'm talking 2-3 decades ago. And then slowly but surely, we started to implement the clinical components to get to where we're at today in one integrated system, clinical and non-clinical all together, because together they formulate a good picture for us to see how we can manage and get the best outcomes. In the administrative applications, you have financial information systems, you have HR or human resources information systems, you have materials management system, you have resource utilization and scheduling systems, you have facilities and project management systems, and also you have office automation systems. Now, the first three that I mentioned, financial, HR, and materials management, these are the three components of an enterprise resource planning system. Most common one in the market is Workday, and I know some organizations in the Indianapolis market area are working with Workday, either have it live or implementing it. But there are other systems as well. In the office automation system, I want to spell that out. So that's your email and discussion tools. Office 365 is very much what most of us are using. Office 365 offers the Outlook for the communication, the email communication, as well as Teams for chattings and meetings and discussions and sharing documents and materials, etc., etc. Video conferencing used to be a different tool, but now with Office 365 offering Microsoft Teams, it's becoming one integrated tool that's giving all these functionalities for office automation system. And again, calendars and scheduling, all that stuff, it's all done within Office 365. So office automation systems, most of us, if we look at historical data, used multiple systems to glue the pieces together, but in today's world, you can very much get all that accomplished just using one product, Office 365. Information systems for non-hospital healthcare system, you're going to read about ambulatory care information systems, long-term care facilities information systems, home health information systems, accountable care organization information systems. So that doesn't mean necessarily that they have to be separate. When you have a system like Epic, you can still have all these as different modules in one integrated system. That's very much a highlight of Chapter 10, and one very important topic you will read in Chapter 10, telemedicine. Telemedicine started out several years ago and it was slowly but surely growing. And I think with the 2019 COVID that hit us in early 2020, that gave a very strong kick to telemedicine, telehealth, because we had no way to see patients other than in a telemedicine or telehealth way because of the limitation, because of COVID. So most of us who were working on a slower plan to implement telemedicine really were pushed to implement telemedicine in 60 to 90 days and get up and running on it to be able to do business in 2019. So a lot of us learned the hard way about telemedicine through the pandemic that we're all dealing with. There will be a group discussion that you will have to work on. Welcome to join the live discussion tomorrow evening, Tuesday, starting at 7:30 p.m. And the two questions that we'll be addressing in the group discussion for Chapter 10 are, what are the key functions of a human resources information systems? And I'll list some of the key drivers and some of the challenges of employing telemedicine applications in the healthcare organizations. I think we've all did overcome these challenges now because we implemented it last year, as I mentioned. Then in Chapter 11, we're going to talk about the HIT project and portfolio management. Some key learning objectives in that chapter will include exploring some of the primary causes of HIT project failure. Why do these HIT projects fail? Understand the main differences between project management and program management, as well as portfolio management. Learning the 5 key processes for a project management, understanding how project metrics and portfolio dashboard can facilitate an HIT governance, understand the major role and functions of the project management office. We often refer to it as a PMO. And finally, identifying the actions or changes that are necessary within any organizations to reach a synchronized stage for the PMO. You're going to read in this chapter about two studies that were done in 2011, 2009 and 2011 to be exact. One was done by the Standish Group, another one by the AMIA. One showed that 65% of HIT projects fail. Another one showed that 60% of the HIT project fail. Very close studies, the two of them, very close numbers. That's a high number. Now, knowing how expensive HIT projects are, that makes the question to, you're going to spend that much money, why would you take the chance and make a project like this fail? So based on these two studies, the two most common reasons or causes for HIT projects implementation failure are either ineffective planning or ineffective execution. Ineffective execution of the project is number one cause for project failure. So simply, we can go back to the 11 steps we learned in workshop 3. And if we follow these the right way, these projects will not fail. So looking at the PMO, what is the PMO, Project Management Office? The Project Management Office helps directing and controlling all company resources to be able to address all the demands and the requests for technology projects we're trying to do. I think it's pretty much the case in every healthcare organizations. We all have more demands than we have resources or warm bodies to do the work. So we're all trying to figure out what is more important and what is our priorities to put the resources in the projects that will yield more fruits, whether it's outcome, patient outcome, or improving an area that need to improve, or financial, increasing financial revenue. So we all look at our resources and try to allocate it properly and based on some priorities. That's why the Project Management Office, I'm assuming in your organization, as well as in mine, we all require that if you give me a request for a new project, we want to see a business case and an ROI. What is the business case? What problem we're trying to solve? And what is the return on investment for what we're spending, time and materials and money and everything else? When you talk about Project Management Office, few terms in here that we want to spell out and clarify. You talk about a project that's a given, a request for like the project that you're all working on. It was your final assignment in here. That's an HIT technology project that you're going to implement. So that's a project. What is a program? A program is something bigger that have a bunch of projects under that program. For example, we all go through some major expansion, sometime a new facility. If you build a new facility, that's going to be a program. So one of the assigned project managers from the PMO will be the program manager, but that person will have few people under him or her assigned to specific projects. Maybe one for the hardwares and softwares, one for the system selections, one for integration of all the systems. If you have joint venture or some other outside parties, one project manager working on the joint venture piece of it, etc., etc. So that's a program. And then the portfolio management, it's everything, whether it's single projects or programs, everything that our project management office working on is the portfolio that we're working on that we have at the moment. So the portfolio management office should be a centralized function to avoid redundant work and spending resources in multiple areas that's doing the same thing. When we don't follow the recommendation of the portfolio management, we end up having problems and we end up working on two projects that may be contradicting each other or break something that's working today. So it's definitely good to have everything running under the project management office to make sure that we're covering all the bases. And at the end of the day, everything will work in a way to deliver the best outcome for that area and make sure that we're not stopping any current functionalities. When we talk about project management, there's 5 phases in each project: project initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and at the end, project closing. And I'm sure you'll be reading a lot more details on that. Project management tools, there are many in the market. Clarity, Microsoft Project, there is Primavera. There's too many tools out there for project management. It really doesn't matter which one we use, as long as we have a project management tool. And then as we work in the project manager will be responsible in covering multiple areas and bringing knowledge in multiple areas, working with the project team, making sure that we are working on project integration management, scope management. And scope is very important because as we work through the project, people will ask, can we also add this and add that? And the more and more you add to the scope, the more that the project will be more expensive and will take longer time. And sometimes it's just going to be a very bad habit to accept work and continue to add to the scope. And when we get to the point that it's not manageable. So it's important to stick to the scope. And if something is added, it has to go through a scrutinized process and change management that's approved by the project sponsor. Also have to do project time management, cost management, quality management, HR management, communication management, risk management, and procurement management for everything that we're buying for that project. Like I said, the project manager will use a project applications or software. Project management is most commonly used, and whatever tool he or she uses, it doesn't matter as long as we have a plan. And in that plan, we'll have a Gantt chart that will spell out every task with a timeline and what task depend on what task. Predecessors to other tasks have to be completed before that task starts, etc., etc. And it's really important to have that chart. Project Management Office usually have a dashboard that shows us everything that's happening and where everything is at. And as the stakeholders in these projects, we should be always receiving a project status report. And if we're not receiving it, we should be able to log into that portfolio dashboard and pick the project that we're interested in and get that status that we're looking for. Organizations in our portfolio management are not at the same level. There are 4 levels. Some of us are ad hoc, so no formal project management capability. Some at a defined stage where we have a process in place to request something. We have another stage, which is the managed stage, more developed, that have a team that manages the portfolio, and organizations that are very mature in the project management office reach a synchronized state. So they have a scorecard and a dashboard, and everything is very transparent. Everybody can see where we're at, who's working on what, and where we're at. That's high level of Chapter 11. And the group discussion for Chapter 11 will have us pick up 2 hospital applications, interface together, and discuss what could happen if one interface or one application change without telling the other one, what could happen, what could be the outcome. And also part of the discussion will be, how could the project management office help prevent unexpected issues that may arise? So good luck with workshop 5.
Jennifer Strickland,
2 chapters that we have to work on. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always here for you. You have my phone, my email, and I'm glad to help in any way that I can. Thank you, and we'll be talking.